Hey guys, I'm cmasupra and welcome to another Company of Heroes 2 multiplayer video. So in the previous Company of Heroes 2 video, I decided to do conscript-less Russians for a change, and in that video, I built the Tier 1 building, which gives you the penal battalions, the snipers, and the scout cars. Now in this game, I did conscriptless Russians once again, which means I didn't build any conscripts this game, but instead of building Tier 1, I built Tier 2. And this is the building that gives you the MGs, the mortars, and probably something else that I can't think of off the top of my head, although we'll see it here in a second once the building's done building. There's this AT gun, that's what it was. So those three units are in this Tier 2 building, and if you're not going to build conscripts and you don't have any main infantry in Tier 2, that means really your only option is to build Maxim MGs as your main units. Now luckily, Maxim MGs have a very fast setup and deployment time, so you can use them kind of offensively pretty well, and it works out pretty well, I think, in my opinion. As you will see in this video, it works out very well for me this game. And I guess speaking of that, this will actually be one of two videos that I want to make with Tier 2 conscriptless Russians. This one actually went really well because it's something my opponent did, but I do want to also use Tier 2 conscriptless Russians against more traditional strategies. But I just wanted to show this video because it was just so effective to not use conscripts this game. It was actually kind of crazy how effective it was. It made me really think, should I be building conscripts when my opponent uses this strategy? Maybe I should just stop building them and build Tier 2 right away. I don't know. Now, I haven't actually said what my opponent's doing this game, so let's go ahead and explain it. He started off with a whole bunch of Ostrupen squads, which are actually pretty bad. At least the one ability that I've used that gives them to you was pretty bad. I think my opponent said that they were cheaper this game, and I don't know how much it cost him to get them, but apparently they're cheaper in the early game from some doctrine. Cheaper than 250 manpower, that is. So I don't know. All I know is he decided to go with Ostrupen, which is a bunch of really bad infantry, but you can get a whole bunch of them, I think is the logic behind them. So anyways, I have built Tier 2. I have two MGs out on the field so far, and I actually have a third one now. I was going to say I have a third one building, but it is not building anymore. And not one of my opponents, my only opponent, has decided to put an Ostrupen squad in that building, and so I now have two MGs firing at it, and it's about to be three MGs firing at it. Now, Maxims actually do a pretty decent amount of damage, even to units and buildings, despite being a full auto gun. So my opponent sitting in that building is not gonna do very well, I don't think. You can see he's also attacking me over at the right side there with an Ostrupen squad against my engineer squad. Yeah, my opponent's also flanking with a pioneer squad on my left, but I'm going to have my third MG that came out recently help protect my two MGs over there from the pioneer squad, although they could probably defend themselves with the 5 non-machine gun men per crew. It's at least worth defending, though. Look at that squad in the house. One man left. Oh boy. He needs to run away from that house pretty soon, or else he's going to lose the squad. I think he is running away, and it looks like he is getting away. Now there's an Ostrupen squad on my right side. Oh, that was actually a pioneer squad running away. Did I kill off the Ostrupen squad? I am not sure. Oh man, my engineers are beating these Ostrupen squads on the right side. Okay, that was relatively easy. Now thanks to the quick deployment, or undeployment and deployment speed of the Maxim MG, I was able to pen this Ostrupen squad on the right side that was trying to flank me, and it is now essentially useless to my opponent. I do have another MG that was suppressing the Pioneer squad that is now, well, the Pioneer squad's gone, but the MG squad is now moving into a house, I believe is where I was putting it. Or no, in front of the house, though, to suppress the other Ostrupen squad that was flanking me. I also have an MG sitting in the church in the middle of the map there, and that is also helping to pin the Ostrupen squad in the middle. So my opponent just has a bunch of pinned squads here, and he also lost a whole bunch of manpower with that first Ostrupen squad because he stayed and fought. Now, it's a little late to be saying this in this video, but I figure I might as well say it for those of you who don't know. I'm playing as the Russians, my opponent's the Germans, and we are playing on Simwa, because I know that is a question a lot of people have when they watch my videos, if they don't own this game or they're not very familiar with it or whatever. A little late to be saying it, but oh well. Ooh, another Ostrupen squad in the building. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to send a whole bunch of MGs to go shoot at it from green cover, and I will hopefully just own the squad. Buildings are not as good as they were in Company of Heroes 1, and it's actually quite nice when you're not the guy in the building. It's terrible when you are the guy in the building, and you are not surviving as well as you used to. Kind of bugs me when I'm using buildings. It's kind of like how retreating is not as effective in Company of Heroes 2 as it was in Company of Heroes 1. Oh well, that's a tangent. What I should be talking about right now is the fact that I am just owning this Austrian squad in the building. My opponent really does not have much of a chance here. What is he doing? I don't know what he's doing. You can see at the top right corner that I have now bought a mortar, and I currently have the mortar shelling my opponent. This is something I've done with, well, pretty much every time that I've used this Tier 2 Conscript-less Russian strategy. I've built a whole bunch of MGs, and eventually I built a mortar, and then as this AT gun if I expect light vehicles soon. The idea with the mortar was to kill anything that my MGs were pinning, because once the unit's suppressed or pinned, they take less damage, at least initially, until they sit there in the MG fire for a long time. I think I just killed an Austrian squad, and I just planted a mine. Did my opponent notice that I planted a mine? Oh dear, he's flanking me here, turn around. I'm cutting him off from the left side of the map there. Okay, now he's flanking me with pioneers as well. Let's go set up elsewhere. I don't need the point that badly. That should be good. That'll cover my flanks unless he takes a long way to the north. My mine has exploded, so it looks like he ran over the mine. I don't know if he knew it was there or not and strategically ran it over, or if he just didn't know it was there and ran over it because he didn't know it was there. I don't know. But as I was saying a little while ago, I do buy mortars, and the mortars are to kill the units that my MGs suppress, as well as hopefully kill any flanking units. Then I eventually buy an AT gun, the Zis AT gun from Tier 2, and I use that as a way to counter any vehicles I might come across, such as this half-track that I have that is attacking me. Now I have picked a Doctrine, and you can see that the 2 CPs you get the shock troops, and that is the reason that I picked this Doctrine. I could have picked a Doctrine that gave me the really small AT gun. I don't know what it's called. It's the one that comes in the defensive Doctrine. That only has abilities up to 2 CPs, which is a very weird Doctrine because it's only an early game Doctrine. But that Doctrine, you know, the AT gun that comes from that, I could have used that Doctrine for the strategy. It might have worked better. I could have used a Doctrine with Guards Rifles. That might have worked better as well because they can counter light vehicles. But I didn't really think it'd be worth doing this game because I figured it'd be better to just annihilate my opponent's infantry, even though really my MGs were already doing that well enough. My opponent's half-track is very low on health, my gosh. Is that my MG doing all that damage? It had to have been my MG. There's nothing else it could have been. Okay, so I guess Maxims are actually pretty good against light vehicles. But as I was saying, I went for shock troops because I wanted to kill my opponent's infantry as fast as possible and prevent tanks from showing up in the first place, so I didn't have to get guards rifles or anything like that. I also figured it'd be good to have some form of infantry. This is why I didn't use a defensive Doctrine with that small AT gun that's nice and cheap to counter light vehicles, because I wanted the infantry. I don't have conscripts, but I need some form of infantry this game. I don't have conscripts, I don't have penal battalions, although I could build Tier 1. I don't like to build both Tier 1 and Tier 2 very often. So, some infantry would be good, and I decided on shock troops over guards rifles. Maybe guards rifles would have been better, though, because I think they are actually cheaper. That's an artillery field officer. Ooh, you ran over that mine. That hurt you so badly. Oh, wow. I think that was a 5-man squad that was down to 1 man now. Oh man, that sucked for him. Oh, can the machine gun kill it on a retreat? I hope it does. No, looks like it's gonna get away just fine. Now you can see my opponent has a unit in the building over there next to his fuel point. He really wants to protect it, obviously. I mean, who can blame him for that? He needs fuel. He doesn't want to get cut off from the left side. He's already cut off from the middle. But, I'm not really worried about the unit in the house, and that's because I know that if he's going to flank me, it's going to be from the far north of the map, and if he comes straight at me, I have an MG that'll suppress his units, because this MG is quite effective at suppressing and pinning like an MG42 is, only it does more damage and has a slower rate of fire. Somehow that is possible. I don't know. My opponent is just so pinned right now. It did not take very long for me to get the upper hand in this thing. Now my opponent does have a half-track here, and I think that's the same half-track from before. I'm not entirely sure, but I think it is. And I have an AT gun in the middle, which is going to be great for shooting at the half-track. I also have shock troops, which can reman the... oh dear, the half-track's flanking me. But I have shock troops that can reman the MG that the half-track killed, but it'll be expensive, obviously. Oh boy. It'd be really nice to kill that half-track right now. My opponent's flanking me with a whole bunch of stuff. I'm bringing over my engineers. I could use engineers to actually remand stuff. I completely forgot about that. Okay, it looks like my opponent has remanned the MG, but he is not refacing it properly, so I have my shock troops go in, they just annihilate stuff. I think I just killed 3 squads there. I guess 2 squads, rather, because one of the squads actually remanned the MG, making it 3 squads. That is horrible for my opponent. He just lost a ton of manpower with my shock troops right there. That's kind of what I was talking about with the shock troops, about how he just wanted to annihilate his infantry and prevent the vehicles from showing up in the first place, although obviously they did show up. Hey, look at that. My opponent's half-track ran over a mine. That definitely works. I was really using the mines as a way to kill his infantry, but I guess if he wants to send his vehicles in the choke points and wherever else I've placed mines, that works for me. It definitely works for me. Oh my god, that is a lot of units. Let's flamethrower, and then I'll probably end up retreating here pretty soon. Now would be good, Supra. Now would be a really good time to retreat. There you go. Now I have brought a Maxim MG here to help shoot at my opponent's infantry. I figure if nothing else, it'll at least suppress them and delay them. And then I can flank over here with my shock troops and annihilate them. As well as with my mortar, because my mortar's firing on the enemy infantry. He needs to retreat his MG. He's not retreating it for whatever reason, and now he has just lost the MG again, and my mortar friendly fired on my shock troop squad. That's wonderful. That's what happens when you're chasing an enemy and there's a friendly mortar firing at them. So my opponent is really cut off at this point in the game, as you can see. I have him cut off from the left side and from the middle. The only point connected to his base right now is a fuel point. He's in a bit of trouble now. I'm even building tier 3 at this point, because I want tanks to help counter anything my opponent might bring out, because I don't have very much AT. I do have the 1 AT gun that is decrewed because of my opponent's Ostrippen and Pioneer squads, so I don't have much AT right now at all. The AT I have isn't even crewed. Wow. I really don't have that many units, do I? I'm just realizing this. I guess I'm floating a ton of manpower, and that's why. 575 manpower is a lot to be floating. Nice try, Mr. Opponent, trying to flank me over there. I knew exactly what you were doing. I'm covering the northern part of the map and the slightly more southern exit on the map in the northern part, as well as covering the middle here, as you can see on the screen. So my MG has suppressed the Ostrippen. I'm coming in with shock troops, and my opponent retreats because he knows I have a mortar and shock troops, and he does not have a chance of getting out here. So here's where I tell him, you know how good a mortar would have been, or would be, because if he had a mortar, he might have been able to kill my MGs off pretty easily. I mean, I do have a ton of MGs. I have 4 MGs in the field, 2 at each cutoff point, but MGs do not survive very long against mortars. So mortar probably would have been good, although it is a little bit late now for that, so there we go. He says he was trying out Ostruppen rush tactic. It didn't work. Oh yeah, that didn't work at all with my MGs firing at him. There we go, the unit in the building on the left side finally retreated because I brought my mortar off to the left side. Okay. So now that that unit's gone, and he also just retreated another Ostrippen squad from the left side a little bit earlier, I am feeling pretty safe to go here and capture his fuel point and completely cut him off from any and all resources. I am building a T-34, as you can see. It's almost done, and that will be a great thing to use against my opponent because he won't have any munitions income, any fuel income, except for the defaults, of course. I think it's, well, I don't know what it is. But he won't have very much fuel income, and he will have no munitions income pretty much, so T-34 will be very effective, and the T-34 is out on the field as well, and I'm also building a second one just because I want to go rush his base with them now. I'm feeling pretty confident that my opponent does not have any vehicles, so it's pretty safe for my T-34s, and I can just go rush him. I see you here, Mr. Opponent. 1, 2, 3, 4 Austrian squads, 1 Pioneer squad, and 1 Artillery Field Officer, all coming over here. I know exactly where I'm sending my T-34 now. I need to retreat this MG. Oh, he is so clumped up. Yeah, I know exactly what I need to do. Oh, look at those plus 34s. Oh, man. Oh, that was awesome. I've already killed 11 infantry with my T-34. That was sweet. Wow. Okay. That was amazing. My opponent is losing squads left and right now. The only thing he has left here is an artillery field officer, which he does retreat. I don't know how many squads he managed to retreat, other than the artillery field officer. Maybe 1 or 2 Austrian squads might have survived that. That was amazing. That was like a highlight of this game. Oh, you're trying to build tier 2, are you? Well then, that's not going to work very well. Just send some artillery, or incendiary rounds onto your base, and I'm going to continue trying to crush you here. And you're going to get set on fire and lose your squads. It'll be excellent. Oh yeah, this is going super well for me. Did you just Panzerfaust me? How rude. You know you're screwed anyways. Why are you Panzerfausting me? He's using his munitions that he can't get back because he has no map control right now. Oh well, he knows he's screwed at this point. I know he's screwed. There you go, that Austrian squad is dead. Or, yeah, I believe it was Austrian. Second T-34 is on the way, saying he's glad he's not infantry. And now it is here to wreck my opponent's base in addition to my first T-34. This could be really entertaining or really boring, one of the two. Die, Austrian squad! Wow, did my hull MG just kill that Austrian man? I think it did. And now the squad is dead. Die, Pioneers! Why did that sound like something I've heard in the game? The way I just said that. I don't know. But the Pioneer squad is now dead. And my opponent has no infantry left whatsoever. The only way he can counter my T-34s at this point would be to use some call-in infantry that is an anti-tank. I can't think of any that the Germans get that are like that, so I think he's kind of screwed. I suppose he could use or build a Pack AT gun from tier 2, but it's not going to work very well because I have 3 T-34s on the field. The third one is leaving my base right now, but it's still there, it's coming, it's on the way. It'll help kill the Pack if a Pack shows up. I'm also working on killing tier 2, so it doesn't have much of a chance of surviving here. Well, one more shot. Come on. There we go, no packs for you. And now I'm working on, I guess that'd be tier 1. Hello there, Austrian squad. Apparently I was wrong. My opponent does actually have infantry still on the field. I'm just going to ignore the infantry. I'm pretty sure that my shock troop squad will not win against that Austrian squad in the building because full auto guns don't do as much damage against units in buildings as they do against units that are not in buildings, because full auto guns are just really, really inaccurate when firing at units in buildings. And there we go. My opponent has quit. So that was a pretty one-sided game, as you saw, and Conscript-less Russians worked out pretty well for me. Like I was saying at the beginning of the game, it made me really think, like, if my opponent's doing Austrian spam, which I've seen a few times as the Russians, then should I just not bother building conscripts? Should I just build a bunch of Maxim MGs? I mean, my opponent was worse than me this game, I think. I mean, he missed a lot of retreats that he should have taken, and, well, I guess that's really about it. That's the only thing that made him look more newbie than me this game. But it might be really effective to just build a bunch of Maxim MGs over conscripts. I don't know. But it made me think about it, and I thought I'd show you guys this game so you can think about it, and you can see how effective conscriptless Russians can be, depending on what your opponent does. But that's going to be it for this video. Like I said, the next Company of Heroes 2 video will be part 2 of Tier 2 Conscript-less Russians, so it'll once again probably be Maxim spam, but it'll be against a more sensible strategy from my opponent, so you can look forward to that. But in the meantime, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye, guys. I decided to go and completely change it up for the beginning of the game for myself and go completely conscriptless. Not one single conscript squad was built in this entire game, and so it's quite a change for me. Now, if you're not going to build conscripts as